Being Novak Djokovic sounds like a dream. You're rich, you're ripped. Your job is to travel the world playing tennis, and you've won more than literally anyone else in the sport's history. So, what's not to love? Well, everything. Because being Novak Djokovic actually sucks. You're the greatest player of all time, and still somehow the least loved. You dominate the court, and the crowd still roots for your rivals. You skip one vaccine, and suddenly you're the villain of global tennis. In this video, we're breaking down how Novak Djokovic became the GOAT and the most misunderstood athlete on the planet. You grow up in war-torn Serbia, playing tennis in a drained swimming pool, because that's what luxury looks like when NATO's dropping bombs nearby. There are no pristine clay courts or neatly trimmed grass. There's cracked concrete, dented fences, and whatever balls you haven't already lost over someone's balcony. While kids in other countries are figuring out how to download music or sneak into PG-13 movies, you're figuring out how to hit a topspin forehand between air raid sirens. Your racket is almost as big as your body. Your tennis shoes are probably secondhand. And your idea of a training facility is a half-lit hallway where the lights flicker like they're judging your backhand. Your family, who has no business affording a tennis career, decides to do it anyway. They skip meals, they take loans, they bet it all on you. A skinny, hyper-focused kid with insane flexibility and exactly zero chill. You don't get a tennis childhood, you get a survival mission with a racket. And somehow, it works. By your teens, you're winning junior tournaments like they're school quizzes. You show up, wreck the competition, grab the trophy, and move on. At 20, you win your first Grand Slam at the Australian Open. It's huge. It's historic. It's inconvenient. Because tennis already has its storybook heroes. Federer, with his elegant footwork and Swiss Rolex energy. Nadal, the muscle-bound clay god who treats every point like it owes him money. The media loves them. Audiences worship them. Every tennis promo features slow-motion clips of Roger's backhand and Rafa's fist pump. Their rivalry is already being called the greatest in sports. And then you show up. Not with elegance or brute force, but with stretchy limbs, absurd court coverage, and the kind of stubbornness that makes your opponents rethink life choices. You're loud. You're emotional. You scream at your box. You bounce the ball 12 times before serving. You rip your shirt off after big wins like you're auditioning for a Balkan version of Magic Mike. And if all that didn't make you hard to brand, you also do impersonations. Federer's walk, Sharapova's grunts, Roddick's serve, all recreated with terrifying accuracy in post-match interviews. Half the crowd thinks it's hilarious. The other half thinks you're mocking tennis royalty. Either way, you've now ensured you'll never be the safe option for a Nike ad. Ringmaster speaking. Smash that like button or I'm sending in the clowns. And trust me, they bite. Still, you keep winning. One major turns into two, into five, into double digits. You hold all four slams at once. You complete the career Grand Slam, then the double career Grand Slam. You earn more Masters 1000s than anyone else. Statistically, you're entering greatest of all time territory. Here's the problem. Numbers don't hug you back. Federer fans sip wine and talk about his grace. Nadal fans cry when he wins the French Open. Your fans? They argue in Reddit threads and write 3,000-word essays on tennis forums about why you're underrated. You're respected, sometimes admired, but rarely loved. Maybe it's your intensity. Maybe it's the vegan pseudoscience. Maybe it's the fact that your vibe sometimes reads less inspirational athlete and more man with a 14-step skincare routine who believes in crystal energy. Whatever it is, you're always the outsider, the third wheel in tennis's most beloved bromance. A champion, sure, but not the kind they make movies about. At least not the kind where you play the hero. Then come the controversies, and not the cute kind, like forgetting someone's birthday or mispronouncing croissant in Paris. No, these are full-blown international news cycle trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons controversies. If your career was a TV show, this would be the part where the producers lean in and say, let's raise the stakes. It's 2020. The world is already wobbling on the edge of collapse. There's a global pandemic, murder hornets, and more banana bread recipes online that should legally be allowed. But through it all, the tennis calendar limps along, and you show up to the US Open, ready to do what you do best: win. You're cruising through the tournament, and then one match, just one ordinary, annoying match, things go sideways. You lose a point. Frustrated, you flick a ball behind you without looking, probably just trying to let off steam. But that little tiny act of irritation turns into one of the most surreal moments of your career. The ball, because of course it does, hits a line judge. Not just grazes her, it hits her right in the throat. She gasps, stumbles, drops. The world freezes. You rush over, horrified. Everyone knows it wasn't intentional. You know it wasn't intentional, but the rules, they don't care. If you hit an official, even by accident, you're out. Disqualified. Just like that. One swing and your entire tournament vanishes. The headlines write themselves. Djokovic loses temper. Djokovic disqualified in shocking exit. Djokovic assaults innocent line judge. Suddenly, you're not Novak Djokovic, 17-time Grand Slam champion. You're Novak Djokovic, the guy who took out a line judge with a tennis ball like a Balkan John Wick. And the internet? Oh, it has jokes, memes, slow-mo replays, think pieces. People debate your pattern of behavior while conveniently forgetting that the other players have hurled rackets and screamed profanities for years with little more than a warning. But sure, let's crucify the guy who flinched. Fast forward to 2022, COVID-19 is still doing its world tour, and tournaments are enforcing vaccine requirements. Most players shrug and get the jab. You, however, do not shrug. You dig in. You're not anti-vax. You insist, just pro-choice, which would be fine if Australia agreed with you. You land in Melbourne, the city where you've lifted the trophy 9 times, and immediately get flagged by border officials. There's something off with your visa, or your exemption form, or both. It's like bureaucratic Mad Libs with no happy ending. You're shuffled into detention, your belongings taken, your name splashed across the news like you're plotting to overthrow the government. For days, it's Novak versus Australia. Court hearings, appeals, rumors, helicopter shots of you looking tired in a hotel room that definitely doesn't have a minibar. And finally, after what feels like a legal miniseries, you're deported. Not asked to leave, deported. Like an unwanted guest at a house party. Except the party is the Australian Open, and you've won it more times than the person who now holds your boarding pass. You're escorted through the airport in sunglasses and a hoodie, but no disguise can stop the swarm of cameras. For a guy who spent most of his life being told he's not popular enough, suddenly everyone is watching. Then comes 2023, the French Open. You're back on court, trying to focus on what you do best: playing tennis and occasionally destroying souls in 5-set thrillers. But after a match, instead of waving at fans or signing a few tennis balls, you walk over to a courtside camera and write 5 words that detonate like a grenade. Kosovo is the heart of Serbia. Boom. The internet catches fire. Twitter melts. Political analysts weigh in. The French sports minister scolds you. NATO isn't thrilled. In a matter of seconds, you go from tennis champion to geopolitical lightning rod. Some people cheer. Others demand you be sanctioned. Tennis Twitter devolves into an all-out Balkan history debate. And you're just standing there with a Sharpie, wondering how writing on a camera lens suddenly made you an enemy of international diplomacy. Despite your 24 Grand Slam titles, the debate never dies. Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic. The Holy Trinity. The Big Three. The eternal group chat with 2 blue check marks and one guy stuck on seen. Federer has the artistry. That effortless glide across the court like he's auditioning for Swan Lake. Nadal has the raw, sweaty, shirt-ripping passion. The kind of energy that makes clay courts physically afraid of him. And you have the math, the statistics, the records that say, hey, maybe I'm the best ever. But apparently, numbers are boring when they come from you. Because every time you win, it's followed by a, yeah, but. Yeah, but Federer has a knee thing. Yeah, but Nadal skipped that slam. Yeah, but the next gen is actually the meh gen. Yeah, but it's just Novak. You beat Federer in an all-time classic Wimbledon final, saving match points, surviving one of the most hostile crowds in tennis history, and still the conversation becomes, poor Roger, so close. You dominate Nadal on clay, the one surface everyone says is Rafa's sacred domain, and somehow it's, well, yeah, but not in Paris. It's always qualified, always diluted. Your achievements don't sit cleanly on the mantle. They come with disclaimers, with fan base fueled asterisks. You're not just playing your opponents, you're battling the narrative. And now you're 37. You've won 99 single titles, just one short of triple digits. You've earned over $186 million in prize money, shattered nearly every record the sport has to offer, and somehow still walk into arenas where the crowd cheers louder for your opponent hitting a second serve than for your 30th major semifinal appearance. You smile through it, sometimes. You speak in press conferences, calmly, fluently, in 4 languages. You try humor, you try vulnerability, you do charity work, you raise your kids in private, you open up about your childhood, your diet, your injuries. You even post awkward dancing videos on Instagram, and still there's a wall. Some invisible force field that keeps the masses from loving you the way that they love the other two. Maybe it's your vibe. Too intense, too polished, too hard to define. Or maybe it's just that people like their heroes to be a little more vanilla, a little more digestible, and you've never been that. Being Novak Djokovic is being the guy who solves the group project, gets an A+, and still gets left off the thank you slide. You're the GOAT with an asterisk, the champion in parentheses, the all-time great who somehow still feels like the underdog. And yet, you keep going. You show up. You play 5-hour marathons in oppressive heat. You outlast the hype machines. You reinvent your game. You win, and then you win again. You'll probably win that 100th title, and the 25th slam, and maybe the 30th. And who knows, maybe one day people will stop asking, is he better than Roger and Rafa? And just say, yeah, he was the best. But until then, being Novak Djokovic still kinda sucks. This is your ringmaster, and I command thee. Smash that subscribe button or face eternal clown chaos.